What is happening, guys? Cotty Plays here, bringing you another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing another deck profile, but this time for Live Twin / Evil Twin Spright. This is a deck profile that I said I was going to do about a week ago, and I'm finally getting around to doing it. I do think this is probably the third best variation of Spright, whereas Runic and Pure are, Runic's probably the best, Pure's probably the second best, and I think this is probably the third best. But that doesn't mean you're not going to run into this. This is a deck that is very popular. I've been seeing it a lot on ladder and in tournaments, and I think it's important to know how to play against it and with it. So I have two different lists I want to show you guys today. This one on screen is the first one. This is basically a non-Scythe variant. So if you can see, like down here is like the Dagden Scythe and like the side deck. Like obviously this is not a side deck. This is just like potential cards you could play in a deck like this. The other version is right here, and this is the Scythe version. So let me just fix this to make it look a little bit closer to Master Duel, even though, as always, I'm just going to put this out there. This is a Master Duel video. This is abiding by the Master Duel ban list, but I'm doing it on Dueling Book because Dueling Book is just like way better for showing deck profiles and showing replays and all this different kind of stuff. So hopefully it's not too bad on your end. Yeah, these are the two different lists. The only difference between the two lists is as followed. So in this list, I'm playing one Nibiru, which this could be any hand trap really. I just put Nibiru in here because even though Sprite's really good against Nibiru, like other combo decks are still very popular, and sometimes Nibiru can come up still. So it's definitely not a bad card to be playing. And with nobody playing Nibiru really, certain Spright certain Spright lines are playing into Nibiru because they don't think anyone's playing it. So they're going to make Gigantic as their 5th summon, and then you can just Nibiru them, which is kind of cool. But if that starts happening, then more people will play around it again. But that's just like a meta thing. So the differences between this list is the Scythe is replaced by the Nibiru, and in the extra deck, the Herald of Pure Light replaces the Dagda. Other than that, the lists are exactly the same. You can make some iterations, some different changes to the different things as you see fit, but I'm just going to be doing the deck profile on this one, on the Scythe variant, because I think this is probably what you're going to see the most, and it's also it's really good. It's a really solid variant. So without further ado, let's jump right in. We got 3 Live Twin Leelas. The reason you played this over a bunch of Kisa kills, even though they do basically the same thing, is because of Frost. So the difference between Frost and Treat, which are going to be the opposite one that you summon off of these two, is Frost is Frost is really good. It's got the effect of if this card's in your graveyard, so basically if a card or cards is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand by a card effect, except during the damage step, while you control an Evil Twin monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard to draw 1 card. Whereas Treat reads basically, it's got the same first effect. If you control one, you can special summon it. When either player takes damage from a battle involving an Evil Twin monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one monster your opponent controls. It loses attack equal to the attack of that battle, blah, 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 blah. So, basically, Frost is just better. You just want to summon Frost from your deck. So that's why you're playing the 3 Leelas instead of 3 Kisa kills. Granted, you can play more Kisa kills if you want. You can just play 6 normal summons if you wanted. But I don't necessarily think that's correct. The number seems to be really good at 4 normal summons plus the 3 searchers. So obviously the 3 Leelas, the 1 Kisa kill, the Frost is not a starter, but it's an extender. 2 Sunny Live Twin Sunny Snitch. This basically just adds any of these from your deck to your hand, and then 1 Secret Password, which adds these from your deck to your hand. So it's really 7 main starters here, and it's plenty in my opinion. You can also summon one of these from the deck off Gigantic if you have Spright stuff already rolling, if you want to get into your Link summons. But other than that play's not really going to come up that much. Usually this number seems pretty good, and if you play more of them, you start to brick on them. You start to clog your hands a little bit with too many of them, and you don't want to see a lot of these in your opening hand because you want to see your Spright cards and you want to see hand traps with them, or more going second cards. So I think this ratio is really good. It wouldn't be terrible to play 1 or 2 more of these, but don't want to play too much of this stuff. Just putting that out there. And then, of course, we are playing the full Spright package. I think the full Spright package is probably correct in a deck like this. 3 blues, 3 jets. Of course, this is not limited to 1. This is the OCG ban list. Dueling Book just doesn't have a Master Duel format on here. So you have 3 jets, 1 red, 1 carrot, and then 1 pixies. I really like pixies in a deck like this because it makes it so you can actually lethal on your next turn. Because this deck, like something that this deck does have trouble doing is like closing games out because the extra deck space is so tight in a deck like this. You're forced to play, not really forced, but you're put in a situation where you're playing 4 like cards that don't actually help you OTK. They don't actually help you in games. They just help you stun your opponent for a turn, or like have like 1 turn of an advantage on your opponent. So a card like Pixies can allow you to just like push through boards very easily. So I think this is really good. It's also good and just into a lot of different matchups. It's pretty good in best of 1, so on and so forth. I like it. Then of course the 2 starters because it's semi-limited in Master Duel. 1 smashers because this card's broken. The 1 Scythe because we're Scythe locking this deck. 3 maxi, 3 Ash Blossoms, 3 Imperms, 2 Veilers, 2 Ghost Ogres, 2 Called Bys, and a Crossout. Pretty much these 9 here I think are probably mandatory, and then these 3 down here are pretty much mandatory. These 4 here, they can kind of be like whatever you want as far as hand traps or going second cards goes. You could also play a Tactics. You know, Triple Tactics Talent is very good in a deck like this because your opponent is going to be like, a lot of times with a deck like this, if you just open with like a normal summon, like one of your Live Twin normal summons, and you don't have any Spright cards in your hand, you're really susceptible to hand traps. So having a card like Tactics is just going to make you play through hand traps better, which is very nice because then it can give you the ability to draw into Spright stuff to keep playing, or look at your opponent's hand and prevent them from stopping you further. But, you know, Tactics also has like serious downsides, and it can be played around. It's not always great. Hand traps aren't super great right now. Some decks don't play hand traps really. Like the Runic variation really only plays like 6 hand traps at the most. So I didn't want to play these for just this list, but it is an option, like if this is something you want to consider. So I'm playing the Veilers and the Ogres. I think overall they're really good into most matchups. Then obviously the Called Bys Crossouts are insane because everybody's pretty much on these cards, at least this one. At least everyone's on maxi for sure. Most people are on maxi and Ash, and you just need to be able to stop this kind of stuff, right? And then I'm main decking 3 Cosmics in this list because Runic Spright is proven to be by far the most popular version of Spright. We still don't know if it's the best version. It's topping the most, but it's not winning tournaments like everyone thought it was going to. But it's by far topping the most tournaments and being entered at the highest rates, and it's everywhere on ladder. So you can't go wrong in a best of 1 with having this in your main deck. Even in best of 3, you really can't go wrong having it in your main deck, but definitely in your side deck. So this is great. Get rid of that Fountain. Pretty much just turns that deck into a worse version of this, worse version of Spright if it doesn't have Fountain. So yeah, really, really good. Highly recommend playing this card. Yeah, I always love seeing it. It's also just good against like other matchups too, because like a deck like this, like if you're playing the mirror match, if you're playing the mirror match and they go first and they set up the Scythe lock on you, you can go draw phase, activate Cosmic, and they can't activate their Kisa Kill effect to resummon their Leela to then pop their Scythe, because during the main phase, if you do not control a Leela monster, you can special summon 1 Leela monster from your graveyard. So it's only during main phase. And Elf also is during main phase. So they can't bring back Carrot to prevent you from Cosmic Cycloning. So if they don't have Carrot on board, they're just going to lose their Scythe, and then all of a sudden their inboard is really not that oppressive. So Cosmic is very, very good. Highly recommend it. Then for the extra deck, I'm playing the Jhin. I don't love the Jhin in this deck, but it's still a really solid interruption if you're able to establish it. 2 Gigantics, I think you need 2 for turn 1 and turn 3 or turn 5, whatever it is, for going for like pushing through boards. Then the 1 Sky Cavalry. This card's great for breaking boards. This is one of the best parts about a deck like this, is it's not like Runic. You can actually attack. You know, so a card like this gives you access to Zeus, and Zeus is just an incredible board breaker. Then the Downer to go along with the Sky Cavalry. If you're gonna play Zeus, I think you need to play the Downer because you get 2 board wipes if you play it, and I think it's definitely worth it. The extra deck space is tight in a deck like this, but I think this is still better than a lot of other options in the game. Just my personal preference. Then the one Zeus, of course, this card's insane. 1 IP. There's going to be weird inboards when you're ending on this. You don't end on it nearly as much in a deck like this as you do with the runic variation or the pure variation, but it does happen sometimes. Right? So it's still good to have it. The 1 Dagda for the combo. The 1 Dark. This is really good because everybody's playing Spright. You're able to pretty much just steal your opponent's blue or jet and then keep playing if they stop you. Right? If you like start your live twin stuff and they start interrupting you, but you're able to put some bodies on board, you can just like go into dark, steal their stuff, and keep playing. There's also just like a lot of things you can do with this card. It's like an extender. It's just a great card. I think it probably should be in every Spright list, but you don't see it very much in a deck like this. But I don't really understand why. It's really good. Then the 1 Leela and the 2 Kisa kills. These are just engine requirements. You have to play this ratio minimum. A lot of lists I'm seeing are actually playing 2 Leelas. You don't need 2 Leelas. You really only need 2 Kisa kills because you want to end your turn on this. You want to use one on your turn and then summon another one from your extra deck at the end of your turn for the combo. But that doesn't mean you need 2 of these. You just need 1. I'll show you guys in a minute. Then 2 Elves, and then the 1 IP target. I opted to play Unicorn. You can definitely play Avermax if you have the room for it. You can definitely play Appaloosa. You can pretty much play whatever you want. I opted for Unicorn because I think this is probably the best overall option. This is probably best interruption-wise. Appaloosa is good, but then you are going to be losing your elf probably, and that might not be very good. Whereas the Unicorn, you can keep your elf on board, and you can make your Unicorn untargetable by summoning this to a zone your elf points to, and it's just a nice interruption overall. And you just draw free cards in a deck like this, so it's just really good. It's just very, very, very good. But of course, you can play the other options as well, and I kind of highlight some of those here. This is the other variant. This is just playing 1 extra hand trap instead of the Scythe. I'm instead playing the Herald of Pure Light because if you're not going for a Scythe lock, you should probably be going for something that makes this deck. Because if you're not going for Scythe lock in this deck, you're pretty much ending on the same board that Pure Spright ends on, but you're just not ending on maxx because that deck searches maxx almost every game. Right? So it's like, why are you playing this version, kind of, in a sense? This version's still good outside of the Scythe lock, but playing the Herald gives you the ability to, what this deck does, it gives you an extra pop, right? The ability to summon the Leela on your opponent's turn, which I'll show you this in the combo video, in the combo guides in a second. Summoning the Leela lets you pop a card your opponent controls, which is really, really good, right? It's just a free pop on your opponent's turn. But outside of that, it doesn't do that much more or that much different stuff, realistically, than the Pure variant. And the Pure variant searches maxx almost every game, and this doesn't have that. With the Herald of Pure Light, you can, and I'll show you guys that in the video. You can also play this in the Scythe version, but then the extra deck gets kind of clunky. And you're playing a lot of cards that are just turn 1 cards as opposed to turn 2, 3, 4, 5 turn cards. It's going to really hinder your ability to play and grind games, especially against a Runic Spright variant, which a lot of times Scythe locking against Runic Spright doesn't actually beat them. It just slows them down a turn, but they'll just survive because they have so much survivability, and then they'll just combo next turn, right? So I don't think it's probably correct to play both this and Scythe. One or the other is probably what I would go with. But anyways, with that being said, let's jump into the first replay here. This is going to be just a 1-card combo. This is just the most standard combo in the deck, and it's going to be a Scythe lock. So, just a 1-card Scythe combo. Going to start out with the Leela. Leela can summon out the Frost. You can also do this with Kisa Kill, of course, and then summon out the Leela, and then do the same thing, but doing Frost is better because Frost is just a good card. Going to Gigantic. Gigantic effect, summon out Blue. Blue effect, search out the Jet. See, this is very susceptible to hand traps, so that's why Tactics is a very good card. Because if they hand trap you here, you can just draw off talents, right? But this is also just assuming you only have 1 card in your hand, which is pretty unrealistic. We're going first. We're going to search out the Jet with the Blue. And then we're going to summon out the Jet, search the starter. Don't use the starter quite yet. Link off the Gigantic and the Blue or the Jet into a Dagda. Activate the starter. Activate Dagda Chain Link 2 because we activated a card. We're going to set the Scythe, summon out the Red or Carrot. Doesn't really matter which. Say that there, or carrot of course. Then we're going to link off, not with the red, but with the jet and the Dagda, into an elf. Elf's effect is going to activate to bring out the frost. Then we're going to link off the frost and the red into a Kisakill. Kisakill's effect is going to activate to summon the Leela back out into the field. Then we're going to link those two off into a Leela, an evil twin Leela. Leela's effect is going to activate to summon back out the Kisakill once again. Kisakill's effect is going to activate to draw a card. We draw a maxx because we're good at this game. Then we're going to link those two off into another Kisakill to do the exact same thing on our opponent's turn, but to summon back out the Leela, which then's effect will activate to target a card on the field and destroy it. Where does it say that? You can target one card on the field, destroy it. If this card is summoned while you control a Kisakill monster, you can target one card on the field, destroy it. And we're going to pop the Scythe. So, ends on Scythe lock because we're able to summon that back out to, like, not this zone. Don't summon it to this zone. Summon back out the Leela to a different zone. Honestly, like, either of these or that one, doesn't really matter which one. And then you're going to activate its effect to pop the Scythe. Then the Scythe is going to be summoned, go to the graveyard, then summon itself back out to this zone here that's pointed to the elf, where the elf points to make your Scythe untargetable. So that means your opponent's not going to be able to, like, imperm. He's not going to be able to imperm your Scythe, which is good, or anything like that. So definitely really solid. Then also during the main phase, you can use elf to summon back out the carrot or the red, whichever one you decided to get. And that's going to be another negate. You could also summon back out a blue or a jet for some follow-up. And we also have an extra card in our hand, which in this case was maxx, which is really, really good. But you'll also have like 4 other cards in your hand, which is insane, right? But moving on to the next replay, it's going to be a live twin starter. So kind of the same thing. We opened just a live twin starter in the last game, and then a blue. So, but it doesn't matter which one it is. It can be like Kisakill, Leela, Sunny Snitch, or the secret passcode. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the searcher here. I'm going to search out the Leela, roll the dice, because why not? Misclick. Normal summon out the Leela, summon out the Frost again, special summon out the blue. Blue effect. Here, the reason you do it like this is because you want to just establish that monster negate early to play around hand traps. So I decided to add the red. You could also add carrot if you want to play around imperm. Summon out the red. Gonna exceed into gigantic effect. Summon out the jet. Jet effect is gonna go search the starter. Again, don't activate the starter quite yet. Then we're gonna link those two off into Dagda. Activate the starter, chainlink 2 Dagda, set the Scythe once again, summon out the carrot. We're then going to take our life point damage from the starter, of course. Link off into Elf, same thing as last game then. Summon out the Frost. Link off into Kisakill. Kisakill effect, summon out the Leela. Link those two off once again into Leela. Leela effect, summon back out the Kisakill. Activate effect to draw a card, draw an Ash Blossom, because again, we're good at this game. Then link those two off into another Kisakill. Then here, we're ending on Scythe still, right, because it's the same thing as last time. The monster negate in the form of red, and a spell/trap negate in the form of carrot, because we can just summon that back out with the elf, plus 1 extra card in hand. So, very, very good, and that's just a 2-card combo makes that happen. The next combo is going to be a live twin starter. This time I'm just using the Kisakill as an example, plus a Spright starter. So same thing, I'm not going to be commentating as a detail because it's literally the exact same play, just slightly different move order. I'm going to go and summon, link off into gigantic, summon out the blue, search the red or carrot. Always getting that carrot because you want to play around those hand traps. You could also get red to play. What did I just say? I think I just said it wrong. I think I just said search the carrot to play around those hand traps. No, search out the red to play around hand traps. Search out the carrot to play around like evenly, stuff like that. And also imperm. It's really good. But anyways, into Dagda, doing the exact same thing as before. Activating the starter, setting the Scythe off Dagda. Sending out the jet. Jet effect to search smashers this time. I'm going to link off into Elf. Then same thing as last time. I'm just going to go and fast forward here. Summon out, link off. Summon off, summon back out, link off, summon back out, draw a card, link off, set 1, end turn. So this one ends on, so again, this is 1 live twin starter plus sprites. 1 live twin starter, if I can speak, plus sprite starter, ends on Scythe Lock, plus a monster or spell trap negate, plus sprite smashers, plus an extra card in hand. So overall, very, very solid. Going on to the 4th combo here. It's going to be a basically live twin starter plus a jet, So I'm gonna go ahead and just zoom through this one. It's literally the same combo. Like, it's just, we're doing the same thing over and over again. It just ends on slightly different things based on your hand. And I just thought I should show you guys all these different variations because why not, right? Go into the elf, bring back, link off, summon back, link off, summon back, link off, draw a card. And that was actually the worst draw we've had. We keep on drawing hand traps, and this time we drew Secret Prazzler. Like what is this? This is clearly a terrible combo if that happens. But anyways, this is the same thing. You just open the starter, like the Live Twin starter plus a jet, and you end on Scythe Lock plus Monster Negate plus Spell Trap Negate plus an extra card in hand. So, absolutely awesome. Very, very solid. Then on to the final combo, not a Scythe Lock. So, you're welcome. I'm showing you guys not a Scythe Lock if you don't want to play it. Because I personally don't. I don't love Scythe, but it is what it is. This is going to be a Live Twin starter plus a blue. You can also do this with opening the starter or the jet. It's just going to be slightly different. You can also do something similar, opening like just a Live Twin starter, but I'm not, like, I already showed you guys that combo, so like you guys will be able to figure out how to do it. We're gonna start off with the Leela. Didn't mean to do that. Summon out the Kill, summon out the blue effect. Go search out the jet here. Summon out the jet. Jet effect's gonna activate to search out the starter. Then we're gonna activate the starter to go summon out the red. Notice we don't have to like wait for Dagda in this situation. We can just go ahead and summon the red out, play around hand traps as soon as possible, because we're not going to be making Dagda in this line. So, of course, you can get rid of Carrot. I got red. I'm going to link off into Gigantic. Not link off, exceed off into Gigantic. Gigantic effect, detach to go summon out the maxx from the deck. Oh, good old maxx. How fair are you? We're going to link off the maxx and the Gigantic into a Spright Elf. Because, yeah, Elf doesn't take Spright monsters, it takes level 2. But we also had Gigantic Spright there, so I don't know why I just said that. But yeah, Elf's broken. Elf effect's going to activate to summon back out the Frost. We're then going to link these two off into a Kill. Kill effect's going to summon out back out the Leela. Going to link off again into the Leela, into the Evil Twin Leela. Leela's effect's going to activate to send back out the Kill. We're going to draw a free card because, you know, Sprite's fair. And then I went ahead and linked off here into a Kill, then I took it back. I don't really know why I took it back, because I end on literally the same thing in just a second. That's okay. I'm slow sometimes. Sorry, guys. Then we're going to exceed the 2 Spright names that we have on the board into a Herald of Pure Light. This card's actually kind of broken. Then it's going to use Herald's effect to add the maxx. Why did I not detach? Okay, whatever. You detach a material, and then you add a... So, you detach 1 XE material from this card, then target 1 monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, then shuffle 1 card from your hand back into your deck. Right, so you detach... I don't know why I didn't detach. You should have detached the red. You want that in the graveyard. But whatever. Add the maxx that you summon off the Gigantic back to your hand. And then shuffle whatever card you drew off the Kill back into your deck. So, nice fluent little combo there. Yep. And then here we're just going to link off into the Kill, which I had already done previously, but for whatever reason I took it back. And then we end. So, really, really good. Basically, you end on a pop, the Leela, that you're going to summon back off the Kill, so you can pop a card your opponent controls instead of popping the Scythe like we've normally been doing, which is really good. You also end on a monster or spell trap negation. You can summon back out the red or the Carrot with the Elf. Of course, I didn't detach, so like it looks stupid, but you're going to be summoning back the red or the Carrot with this. You could also just summon back out like the blue or the jet to get follow-up, whatever you want, but probably going for that monster negate. And then, of course, you're ending on the maxx, which is probably the best part of this whole thing. Right? So, I guess, like, realistically, what you could do, it's tough because you could try to, like, super play your opponent and go for Carrot earlier in the turn, and then when your opponent tries to call by your maxx on their turn, you just negate it with Carrot. Then your maxx almost always resolves. But they could also have Ash. But they probably would have Ash on your turn. I don't know. It's tough. But anyways, it's also like super broken just to search maxx. So I thought I should highlight this. But anyways, that is going to do it for the deck profiles. Last thing I'll say is this deck is not 100%. This is not like, don't just take this deck, import it into Master Duel, and just be like, yeah, this is the best deck in the game, right? there's a lot of different things you can tweak with a deck like this. You can do there's so much room in a deck. Look at this. Literally 20 cards. The top 20 cards here are engine. This is your engine. The next 20 cards are flex spots. You can play whatever you want. Like, it's absolutely insane. If you want to play board breakers, like Dark Ruler, do not know how to spell. No, I do know how to spell. I just did not delete the previous thing. There, I don't know how to spell. If you want to play Dark Rulers instead of hand traps, do it. If you want to play Lava Golems, do it. Don't play Lava Golem in this deck. That's really bad because you play normal summons in this deck. But, right, you guys get my point. You can play so many different options in these different Sprite decks because there's so much room. There's so much room for constructive, like, unique deck building. Granted, your combos are probably not going to be ending differently because the combos are very linear, very basic. But there's literally 20 cards here that you can just play around with, and you can play whatever you want. And yeah, you can play the Scythe version, the non-Scythe version, whatever you want. You could also play cards. I highlighted some stuff down here. I'm just going to go over this really quickly. You can play the maxx. You can play like Soul Sleeper. This is a great card. You can play Mannequin Cat if you're playing best of 3. You should be playing this card if you're in best of 3 because this is just FTK's Sprite. Summoning Thunder King from the deck, or Chaos Hunter if you're playing against Runic. They're just like FTKs basically. But yeah. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for me. I just thought I should note that those few little things at the end. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to the video. I hope you enjoyed. Leave me a comment down below if you are liking the deck profiles. I say it all the time. I don't love doing deck profiles, but I think with this stuff it is really important because, you know, these decks are stuff you're going to be playing against a lot. We're basically in a tier 0 format. So, and it's Sprite. Sprite is the tier 0. Sprite is everywhere. So you're going to know how to play against this stuff. You're going to need to know how to play with it and against it if you're going to succeed. So I think these profiles are really important. But leave me a comment down below if you're enjoying them. What videos you'd like to see from me in the future. I'm probably going to be doing a Tri-Brigade Sprite video coming up really soon. That deck is super cool. It's not the best, but it's like really, really cool. But anyways, I've been rambling too much. Thank you guys so much for tuning in the video. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.